And you've just heard Today, which is the opening track on Kate's EP, Ride That Wave. And I'm delighted to be joined by Kate now. Hello.
Hello, how's it going?
Yeah, really good, thanks. And before we talk about the rest of the EP, can you talk a little bit about Today and why that is the first track on the EP?
Yeah, sure. So today, I think it's quite a grim one to start with, if I'm being honest. Like it kind of sets the scene um of the Ride That Wave EP, which I guess Ride That Wave is the whole point of life. You have these ups and downs, and it's just this constant either going through a storm, you're in a storm, or you're just coming out of one. So I really wanted to capture that. And for me, today really was the start of that um up and down journey, really. And it just kind of sets the scene of what's to come. But that kind of, I guess, peaceful optimism as well of it can only get better than this, which is one of the lyrics in it. So yeah, it just felt right to kind of start with today.
And it's interesting you saying that because the five track EP, it's one whole, all these songs kind of speak to one another, and it very much is for me a single piece of music. Is that what you meant to do?
Yeah, I think so. It was yeah, I think they kind of go together in a way they don't really go together. And I think that's what I kind of wanted, that clash where one minute you have this real low and then the next minute there's a bit of anger and then there's a real high and it kind of dips again. But that for me is what I was experiencing. So and I think that's a universal thing, right? Like we're all human and one day we wake up and you're like, I'm struggling to get out of bed. Then the next day, the drums come in and we're feeling a bit happier and it's just this up and down, which I'm glad that kind of came through because that is what I was going for, really.
Yeah, like telling a story almost, where you've got, dramatic and resolution and all sorts of things going on. And well, later on we'll hear the final track, The Rain, which is kind of almost joyous, I think, in that sense. It's a real kind of celebration. Is that
Yeah, I think so. It's like a journey. It's like the end of that little journey, but the start of something else. So um yeah, celebration, optimism, a bit of like nostalgia as well. I think nostalgia can also sound a bit like that. It's like
yeah.
a bit bittersweet, but yeah,
Reflection, looking back on onto things. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
And I mean, you've said why the title is Ride the Wave, so I was going to ask you that. But what was the process of working on it? Is it you doing everything on it?
So it kind of was like a long journey for me. A lot of my songwriting comes from me trying to process what I'm going through, really. And I think that's why a lot of writers, you find that um, in a world that sometimes doesn't make sense, the only sense I can make out of things are through song and through lyrics. I think sometimes I can be quite inarticulate in conversation, but sometimes just that tiny little lyric can make it make sense. But so yeah, a lot of the songwriting, well, the majority of well, all the lyrics, sorry, were me. A lot of the songwriting I co-write with my partner, and he does the production. We actually own a wee studio in the city centre, so we kind of went in there and did a bit of recording in there. A little bit of recording in the flat. We also have a studio in the flat as well. So um,
Fantastic.
it's for me, I think it comes. I talk a lot about water, but I feel like it really, really resonates about life, doesn't it? Like, for me, inspiration comes in waves. So whenever that kind of wave hit me, I was like, okay, go, let's go, and we kind of had to have a microphone quite quick. Um, so yeah, a lot of the music was my partner Robbie. Like he's one of these people that you give him a guitar at a party, ask him to play something and he can play it. Like he's very talented that way. So it's just a really good partnership that we've got going there where um I can sometimes hear the melody, but I think I'm quite a frustrated musician where I don't always
Right.
have the skills there. But if I can just hum it, then he can play it. So it works quite nicely back and forth. But the lyrics always seem to be there, and they're kind of what come first for me. They start as like poems or start as like a voice note.
Because it's often that relationship is an interesting one. I've spoken to other songwriters who work with someone who says, well, could you do a bit of that? They, as they say, they maybe they can't articulate the music side of things really well. But if you've got someone who understands you, they can go, oh yeah, I know what you mean. And is that the kind of thing you're talking about?
Yeah, pretty much. Like I mean, there's a couple songs I've written where it's almost like a download. Like I'll just like sing it and it'll be in a voice note, and I'm like, I have no idea what that chord is. I have no idea what that is. Like, can you help me? Or I'll go to Rob, be like, da, 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 something like this. And quite quickly he can, articulate it through music, which is what we're going for. I mean, other times like I will sit down at a piano and consciously try and write something. But for me, my process seems to be a bit more back the way where lyrics come first and I kind of fit everything around it. But yeah, exactly that. It's that back and forth, which works really well because then you get a bit of someone else's idea as well. I think you kind of can sometimes get a bit stuck in what I want it to sound like, and that kind of external voice will just kind of guide you in a way you didn't think. You're like, oh, actually, yeah, that works quite nice. So yeah, it's a good pairing.
I guess having a studio at home, it's a kind of, some people might say, oh, I've thought of something and sing it into their phone or whatever they might do, write it down. But you could even go, well, let's go and do it now. We've got this right there, right now.
Yeah, I mean, I say studio very loosely. It's like our
Yes, yes, yes.
bedroom that has like some foam on it, but a studio nonetheless. But yeah,
Can't
exactly that. Like we've got some recording equipment ready to go at all times because you never know when it's going to hit. And sometimes they're the best ones for me, especially on the EP. Broken Man was one of those ones we wrote, honestly, I'd say within 10, 20 minutes, and then it was recorded within the hour.
Wow.
There was obviously some harmonies and stuff that kind of came after, but it was one of those ones where like inspiration hit and you're just like, okay, go, go, go. And it just worked. And I think, I mean, we tried to recapture it in our main studio, but it just didn't hit the same. Like there's a rawness to Broken Man that I think it
Yeah, absolutely.
must be there. And like there's some vocal cracks and like I was getting a bit emotional, but that's what I look for when I listen to music. So it would be a bit silly to not kind of go with that in my own music. So yeah.
And it's an emotional EP. There is a lot of emotion on there.
Yeah, I'd say I'm quite an emotional person. I'm not gonna lie,
Yes.
but it was a tough time for me. And again, it's finding the songs that help me through it. And I think that I write my own songs to, again, like I say, to process things, but also on reflection, they kind of change through time because then there's different parts of my healing journey that I'm on. And yeah, I think it's important to cry, right? Like it's important to get it all out. So yeah, if I can make myself cry and other people cry, then I think I'm doing
You've done your job.
yeah, absolutely.
But no, that's right. I think sometimes the most personal art in general can have the biggest effect on other people, even though it's your personal story. There's a kind of empathy. I certainly feel that through these songs that, you kind of feel the power of them, if you think.
Yeah, I mean, empathy is something that I think everyone connects on, isn't it? Like everyone is going through something. Everyone can relate to grief, to death, to the human experience. Like we all have that in common. And I think when you tell your story, it's you live in your own bubble, and I think it's
Mm.
important to remember like other people are also going through that, and it's immediately creates this connection. I find like when I'm on stage as well, there's like I'll look into the crowd and you can just see people's faces and you can almost like see the people that they're thinking of. It's just this really nice moment of like, oh, okay, they needed to hear this. Or like, when you hear a quote and you're like, oh, actually, I needed to hear that today. Or, it just kind of keeps you going, I think.
Yeah, and I think there are lyrics, some of your lyrics do exactly that. They make, you think that, oh yeah, that's true as well. Yeah. And are these songs, 5 songs that you wrote for this EP, or were there other songs that were considered? What was the kind of process there?
Um, to be honest, there were some of the songs on the EP that were maybe like a year and a bit apart.
Mm.
I think for me, Ride That Wave came off the back of my single, The Wave, where that was really the start of that journey for me.
Mhm.
And then, yeah, I knew what I wanted to say, but I didn't know what songs were going to allow me to say it, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Broken Man, what else is on there? Your Call, they were written as I was like compiling them all together, but Today Again was written maybe a couple of years before that. And I just have this constancy of songs, but I just never really know which ones are going to work or which ones are going to fit. But I think it's like that. Okay, what's the story? What am I trying to tell? And it's almost like chapters for me, where it's not so much chronological, but it's like almost like the stages of grief. You have like all the way through to acceptance. But for me, it was like, okay, what do I want to start with? Where do I want to start? And what story do I want to tell? And then it was almost like compiling the songs that I was like, okay, I was really quite angry there, so I'm going to take Across the Table. Or, I felt a bit more hopeful, so that's where The Rain kind of finishes on the EP. So, I think it's a lot of, I don't know until I hear them together. Excuse me. But yeah, there's no, I guess the process is there's not really a process. It just, if it works, it works. It's like, if you know, you know.
I'm interested in you, again, going back to this idea of a story and having chapters. Did where the songs sit on the EP, did that work out fairly straightforward, or was there a lot of, well, should Broken Man be before that one, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, for me, Today and The Rain made sense. And so it's quite nice that you picked up
Yeah.
on that, where it was like the start and the finish. So it was everything in between. They were a bit kind of intertwined, and I wasn't really sure. But for me, yeah, I really wanted that like lift to then the drop and the up and the down, because that's one thing I find at gigs is my friend came up to me one time, she was like, you just have this power where um 1 minute I'm like, oh, then I'll cry again, and then I'm uplifted, and then I'm down, I'm like, okay, that's good, because that's again what I want to reflect. So um yeah, there was a bit back and forth, but I think overall they just kind of aligned themselves in a way. But again, yeah, Today and The Rain in those kind of bookends, it worked really well.
Absolutely. And just since you mentioned playing gigs, playing live, is that something you enjoy doing?
Yes and no. I think I love and hate it at the same time. Like, um, before a gig, I hate it. Like, I'm terrible. Like, I get really nervous, quite anxious. When I'm up there, I'm fine. And then there's also the self-reflection that comes after it, which is also not very nice. But I do love it when I'm up there. It's really nice to like share and kind of get that back and forth with people, and see firsthand how like what you've made is impacting someone. It's really nice to hear and to see it. I think is more powerful than words. So yeah, I do enjoy it.
Well, talking about gigs, you just recently headlined King Tut's as part of their Summer Nights series. So, how was that?
Yeah, good. It was our first ever headline gig, which is quite intimidating. So yeah, it was really cool. I mean, I've not done a lot of gigs. Only really started last June, and since then, I think that was like our sixth ever one. I say our because it was I was joined with a band this time. So my first couple was me and my partner, and then our friend Stephen joined on bass. And then we just kind of slowly started adding people in, a bit more drums and harmonies and stuff. So yeah, it was good. It was weird because the drums don't really exist on the EP yet.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
but they totally changed when they were live, a bit more like boom in your face, especially The Rain. It kind of felt like this um spiritual religious experience at the end, where people were kind of standing like, oh my goodness, what's going on here? And it just, not expected from the EP, uh,
Yeah,
which is cool. So yeah, we maybe need to revisit and see if we can capture some of that live sound, because as soon as the drums are in, it just becomes like a totally different song.
I can imagine that because it's a powerful song anyway, but kind of almost turbocharged with kind of heavy rhythm behind it too.
Yeah, for sure.
And what's your approach to your songwriting? Do you have a regular method, or do they just come to you as you mentioned? Like, I love that idea of you downloading the song and think, yep, got
Yeah. Honestly, sometimes it is like that. I I'm always writing lyrics, and I think that's where I'm comfortable, and that's my little safe space. Um, I So it looks like I'm always on my phone. I'm not like doom scrolling. I'm just like writing lyrics all the time. But that's where I'd say like 90% of my songs start, is they start in my like little note app. Then they kind of come with melodies as well. Some of them I'll put into a voice note. Other times I will, like I said, sit consciously at a piano or just sit with a guitar and see what comes out. But again, that kind of frustrated musician is in me, where I'm like, I know what I want it to sound like, but my fingers just aren't making that happen. So process wise, definitely like lyrics first, and then that's where I work with Robbie and we can figure it out. Today, The Rain, The Wave, those kind of ones were a bit of both. Again, Today, really minimal piano. not by choice, probably more by skill set, but it just that's what came out when I sat down at piano. And I've noticed like I write really different songs depending on what instrument I'm on. The like my style probably more is finger picking. That's how I learned to play guitar.
Hmm.
Um, so that's again quite a safe space for me. So like the rain, a bit more uplifting, where I feel they're a wee bit more, yeah, a little bit more optimistic on guitar, a little bit more doom and gloom on piano, maybe.
And it just struck me that, we've talked about how these songs all fit together. It's a kind of a single thing, if you like, as an EP. But was it ever going to be longer? Did you ever consider, like album length or something like that?
Um, yeah, we did at one point because I released an EP, I think it was 2020, like in lockdown, from the safety of my like bedroom where I would have nobody talk to me about it. I could just release it and there was no interaction with anyone. Um, so I think I was quite keen on doing an album, and again, there's a lot of songs there, but I don't like the thought of just doing something just because I think that's the next step. It just didn't feel right for it to be an album. I felt like it needed to be more of a collection on its own, and they made sense. And for me as well, it's very quite poetic, and like I can write about something and then I just kind of close that book and it's like it's not gone, but I'm like, okay, I've processed that. Now what else can I write about?
Yeah.
And for me, that wave period of time, I just needed to kind of put to bed and just kind of move on from there. So yeah, that's why I went more for the EP.
I think it works perfectly as that length. As you say, it tells that the story that you wanted to. And in terms of your musical background, am I right in saying you went to School of Art? You were at Glasgow School of Art.
Yeah.
Were you always doing music even before you went to art school?
Yeah, I mean, I had my sister went to study music, so I think I always kind of hid in her shadow a wee bit where I was like, oh, that's her thing and art's my thing. So like we
Right.
need a separate people with siblings, I'm sure will understand that it comes with a rivalry you don't even intend to have. But yeah, so I just kind of left it there. When she was learning, my mum got her this piano that looking back extremely out of tune. I think like the C4 didn't work, so like it was just a nightmare. But I taught myself how to play piano. My stepdad taught me how to play guitar, so I kind of grew up in a really musical household. But yeah, I think I was always really like writing without realizing I was writing songs. Again, it was always lyrics for me. I was in like a band when I was in high school, but not really for long. And then I went off to art school and didn't do music at all for the 4 years I was there.
Right. Okay.
Was always writing again, like having that conscious kind of thought there, but not putting it into practice. And again, then I had a musician boyfriend, and it just never. I don't know whether the timing wasn't right or like I just wasn't there mentally to do it. But I always had like a love for it and a passion for it, and it was only really when I went from art school into like a corporate job. It was awful. Like I pivoted that way because it was that panic of, oh crap, I've got an art degree. What do I do now? And this stereotype of like, you can't do anything in the arts. And it was just this panic. And I saw this like design job that I went into. So I started doing like corporate design. And I think that's where my soul just started like it sucked out of me. That I was like, I need something to like get her back. Um, so writing then started to come a bit more, um, you know, the music started to come a bit more naturally, and that's what kind of helped me through. And that's where I think I realized that, oh, I actually need this to process some stuff. And there's a
Yeah.
lot going on up there, so I need to write it out. So yeah, I think it's always been there in parallel, but I just kind of ignored it, and now just embracing it, I guess.
Yeah. Well, you certainly have on this EP. If it hasn't come across yet, I absolutely love it. It's one of my favorite releases of the year. Kate, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me.
Thank you so much for having me. It was lovely to meet you.
And this is Kate and the Rain.